Attention, due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 80 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm your host, Brian. And even though Halloween is over, episode 80, we are still going to bring you an amazing treat.
Yes, the treats have not stopped coming. We have a very special surprise for you this episode, so let's get right into it. This is our first chop. All right, guys, so we've kept this kind of secret from you until we got it all in the can, but we have a interview with a guest that I am super excited to have on the show because this is the star of one of my favorite horror movies of the past several years.
Yes, it is one of mine as well.
Yes, you know him and love him as Art the Clown from Terrifier. It's David Howard Thornton. All right, David, welcome to the show. So good having you on.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Yes, welcome. Yes, we were very excited to have you on.
We are huge Terrifier fans. That was one of my favorite horror movies from the past several years. Not just slashers, horror movies in general. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, same here. In fact, Tim had immediately when he saw the trailer, he goes, "We gotta watch this. So I remember it was that night I went and downloaded it and watched it, and it was awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yep. We definitely had fun making it. So
yeah, it looks like you did. So you just got back from Chiller. I want to hear about all your fun times at Chiller.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, we had a big bomb scare while I was there at Chiller after, the whole week of all the bomb threats and everything here in the United States. So that was a little bit nuts. I was actually in the room where all this started because I was in the room with, Kelly Hugh and Kim Fields and Paul Sorvino and, Vincent Pastore, all those guys. So it was just They had us, we were sitting in there and all these firemen came in, but they did not look like your typical New York firemen. They're all different types. So we're at first we're like, are these cosplayers? Because I'm so used to New York firemen, these big, huge buff guys. There's this really heavy set guy and they're all walking around with these sniffers and stuff like that. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And they're like, okay, everybody needs to evacuate the room. We have a gas leak. And we're like, oh, this is real. Okay, we had to head out. We my manager and all of our people, my team and I, we went to the front area, and they were bringing more people out. So Hot Lips Houlihan from MASH was standing next to me. She was freezing, so I was helping to keep her warm for a second there. I'm like, this is surreal. This is weird. And then all of a sudden they're like, everybody get out of the building now. And they had to evacuate the whole entire hotel and the convention center because of this bomb scare. So we're out in the parking lot for about 4 hours. Luckily, my manager had his car right outside in the parking lot, so we were right there where we could watch everything happening, so we were able to stay warm. And one point, Ice-T and Coco and Carmen Electra pull up next to us, and they're sitting there. I'm like, this is weird. My manager used to rep Ice-T too. He's like, yeah, it looks like Ice-T's pissed off right now. I'm not gonna bother him. I'm like, that's okay. I don't want to piss him off either.
No.
That must have been a sight, seeing Art the Clown and Tootie go running out.
Yeah. Oh, she was live tweeting from it all. That's how I actually got to talk to her, because the next day she comes in, I'm like, Kim, you were hilarious. I was loving watching all your tweets and everything. And she's like, oh, thank you. I've been wanting to talk to you the whole time. I'm like, hi. It's weird. It's so weird because these are people I'm used to growing up watching and stuff like that. Now I'm just having casual conversations with them. I'm like, what has my life become?
So how do you like the convention circuit?
It's a lot of fun. I'm I'm loving it because I've gone to Comic-Cons and stuff like that for a few years, especially representing my the YouTube series I'm on, Nightwing Escalation. So I'm used to being on that side of things, doing the cosplay and stuff like that. So it's fun being on the other side of the table now. Mm-hmm. So I'm just this is awesome. I love it. It's so much fun for me.
Cool. So let's get into the role you're most famous for, Art the Clown. You got to tell us how in the world do you become a killer clown? How do you land that gig?
Oh, well, I was born a poor clown child, and, that's the bad reference to The Jerk. I'm sorry.
No, I love that movie. Was just on. I love that movie. We're 80s fans, so we're right there.
Fantastic.
With that one.
That's a classic. I mean, I one time used that line for like a mic check when I was touring with Grinch, and everybody's like, and I'm like, guys, it's from Steve Martin movie. Come on. It's like the older people in the cast were like, I get the joke, thank you. I'm like, thank God, no, I'm not trying to be racist right now.
Yeah, no, Tim and I would have been hysterical if we heard that, and that's so.
Oh God, yeah. But anyway, yeah. Like, what was the question again?
So, how do you get the role of a killer clown? How does this happen?
Well, I like randomly came across the audition notice on Actors Access, which is like a website for actors to find out about auditions. And it was calling for a tall, skinny guy that has like experience doing clowning or physical comedy. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. So I contacted my reps and I'm like, please submit me for this. I know I can book this one. I just know it. I know I'm perfect for this. So they sent me in, and it was, I pretty much knocked it out of the park, I guess. I mean, it was the weirdest audition I've ever had because I wasn't given a script because Art doesn't speak. And I'm like in the audition room, and all these other people have scripts, and I'm like, uh-oh. I'm not prepared. And so I walk in the room, I was like, I'm sorry, guys, I never got a script. And I see all these other people have scripts, so if I can have a few minutes, they're like, oh, no, you don't need a script. I'm like, oh, okay, then what do you want me to do? They're like, oh, just like make up a scene where you decapitate a guy. And I'm like, okay. Can I have a minute? They're like, no, just go ahead and do it now. We want to see what you can come up with. I'm like, well, baby. And I just came up with like this scene where like cartoonishly snuck up behind my victim and like knocked him out, took out a hacksaw, my bag of tricks, sawed off his head, and like picked it up and tasted it. And I'm like, ugh, I don't like it. And so I take out a salt shaker and start seasoning the head and go taste it again, give it a thumbs up, toss it in my bag, and I skipped out on my merry way. And I'm like, they're like, I finished, and like Damien's got his head on the desk laughing his head off, and like they're everybody's just like, yeah, so can you come in for a makeup test? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And like the rest is history.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, it shows like how important it is for like actors to know how to improv.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you play a role that has no dialogue.
Yeah. I was like, oh God, thank God I had that experience.
Yeah. So art differs kind of, from many of the classic killers that they don't, you don't have a quote unquote traditional mask that you hide behind. So you think that made that easier or more difficult?
I found it to be easier because I've always been very expressive. I mean, I grew up just doing comedy, especially a lot of physical comedy. So I especially doing like children's theater. Children's theater use a lot of physical, like a lot of facial expressions, a lot of big body movements, because kids are very visual. They don't really go for the audio. They go more for the visual. And so I have that experience there. So I liked having like the makeup where I was able to show a full range of expressions, because especially with this, I mean, he's a clown, but he doesn't talk. So you have to be able to convey emotion somehow. And you have to do it with the face and the eyes, especially the eyes. And I was so glad that this makeup offered me that chance to, be able to give a full range of expression.
So how long did it take to get into the makeup every day?
It took about 4 hours, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes more, because Damien, who was the director, was also doing my makeup. So he would have to like do my makeup for a little bit, sometimes go and set up a shot, come back, do some more makeup, go film the shot, come back, do some more, go set up another. So I mean, there was like a few nights where I would get in the chair at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would not get out of the chair until midnight. Then I had to shoot for the rest of the night. So it's like, it could be a long process.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
So so brutal. This is a brutally dark film, even though it's starring a clown, and
it's a feel good picture.
Yeah, it's like, and I mean, and it's pretty violent even by slasher standards. So how was the mood on the set when you did that?
Oh, it was actually the total opposite. We were joking around so much. It was just like, I think it's because we were usually so delirious because we were shooting the whole entire thing overnight. So we're just,
oh wow,
especially after a few days of shooting consecutively, we're just a little bit so it got that way. I think probably the only night that we were all very serious on set was the night that we did the infamous hacksaw scene, because that was a very dangerous kill to do with Catherine, so we had to be very careful with her. So that was the one night we weren't joking around that much.
That sounds like it would be fun, though, to go through that set like that, where obviously, they say humor is the best way to break up tension like that. So I guess you kind of had to have that, like, during that part.
It's just in my nature anyway. I'm just like, I have a hard time just staying serious anyway. So I'm just like, yeah. I'm like, it had to been like the most surreal thing for, like, especially Jenna, because she does a lot of stunt work, everything and all that kind of stuff, and she was doing most of the stunt work in this thing. And so we'd have a scene where I'm just like violently choking her out and trying to stab out her eyes with my thumbs, and they say cut, and I'm like, so are you okay, are you okay, are you okay? And here I am, like, covered in gore and stuff like that. Are you okay? And then just cracking jokes. I'm like, whatever, this is I can only imagine how that had to look from their perspective.
And I would love to see those outtakes. That must be fun.
Oh yeah.
So were you aware that you were making a feature that would stand out so much in the horror genre?
We didn't really. I mean, we thought we had something interesting, but we were trying to be realistic about it all, because we're just a small, low-budget film. We'll be lucky if people watch this. I don't know. We're just like, we did it for the fans of, like, All Hallows Eve that really love the character. So we're like, well, who knows if this will actually catch on. It was like one of our producers, it was like the first night he saw me in costume and makeup, he's like, oh my God. He's like, that's going to be something that's going to stick with people. That's like an iconic look. That is going to stick with people. We're like, well, we'll see.
I mean, I think it has. I think Art deserves a major horror icon status up there with Jason, Freddy, Leatherface, and the like. I mean, he really
thank you.
Really does.
Oh, I think it's probably because he's such a like amalgamation of all of those characters. He's like the love child of all slasher films combined. Yeah. He's got like the silent, stalker killer nature of like Jason and Mike Myers, but he's also got the humorous and like expressive side, the charismatic side of like Freddy and Chucky, and so he's got all of that combined, I guess.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I really wanted to ask you, because I watched the film just the other day just to get it fresh in my mind, and I'm sitting here captivated by what Art's motivation is, because he seems to be playing to an audience even though there's nobody around. He's by himself chopping somebody up, but he still seems to be performing. And I kind of want to know, like, what were you thinking as you were playing the character? Like, what was your motivation?
With him, I was more. He was just doing this for his own his own entertainment. He finds this to be just fun. This is like Halloween is his night to play, because he can actually walk among everybody else in the way he looks and be accepted. People are, if he walked around like that on any other day of the year, the cops are woo as soon as they saw him. Like, what is going on with this guy? So it's just like, so that's his night to play, and he has fun with it. He's evil incarnate. He's doing this all just for his own sick pleasure. He wants to just kill people and drive people crazy. So that's how I approached it.
Yeah, and I think that's what was so cool about the character. Like through all this whatever his path that he took through the movie, he never forgot to be a clown. Still,
Yeah,
like when you
right,
do those, you do those like mugs to the camera, those or the facial expressions, or just like the simple little thing when you're just like the one scene where you're just randomly going around in the little tricycle thing. To me, that's amazing because it's like he's still a clown no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, a crazy sadistic one, but he's still a clown.
Which I think some killer clown movies forget to do that. I mean,
Right.
it's just a guy dressed up and he's killing, but they forget the clown part.
Yeah.
So-
That was like the biggest thing for me to make sure to like to nail is that he is a clown. That is part of his name. He's a clown, and we got to retain that. But that was the hard part about it, because we had to walk that fine line of going too silly or hokey with it all, or keeping that the sinister stuff in there too. Because we had different takes on some scenes because we're like, well, this might be too funny. So, but there was like the scene where I had Jenna tied up in the chair and I was torturing her with different implements from my bag of tricks, and I was doing like comedy bits that they didn't leave in the movie. Like I had this big huge rod with a big huge spike on the end of it, and I was doing the whole Bob Hope thing with the golf club swing and stuff like that with it. Just like
that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I was just joking around and well, we have that if we want to put it in there or not. So it was like, give you options.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So now I know this is your first feature film, though you did appear as another clown, which is the Joker on a Nightwing Escalation web series. So if you want to tell us a little bit about that one, because I did get to watch one episode and you were great in it as the Joker.
Oh, I thank you. I appreciate it. I hope I put a smile on your face. Oh, God, I love the character. He's my favorite villain of all time, and that's always been like my dream role is to play the Joker. And so I just totally relish in playing. Anytime they need me to come in and record new scenes or stuff like that, I'm like, yes, put me in, coach.
Yeah, I'm a huge Batman fan, and I loved the classic take on the Joker, which is the purple suit, like the old 80s, 90s era Joker just is my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly what I wanted to do with it, because I love all these different versions I have seen of the Joker on screen, except for maybe Jared Leto. But but it's just like, but none of them, even Jack Nicholson, none of them were really a true depiction of what I thought was the comic book version of the character. I love, especially Heath Ledger. He was fantastic, but that was not the comic book version of Joker, and that's what I wanted to do with the character. And so I just, I've always thought Mark Hamill is his version of the Joker is the closest thing to what the comic book version is. And
right.
So I used a lot of, Hamill-ish references, especially with my voice. But I put I actually tried to put little bits and pieces of other versions of the Joker into that and just make my own version of it. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
I saw almost a little bit of the Cesar Romero Joker, when you're wearing that, the beach shirt. That's something I could see in that Batman series. Where he'd wear like a beach shirt.
Oh, of course. I mean, that was also a little bit of a nod to the Killing Joke as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you have a talent for voiceover. That's primarily where you've worked, right? Is voiceover work?
It is. It's kind of ironic.
Do you prefer being in front of the camera or behind the camera doing voice work?
They're both fun in their own way, because I'm both a vocal actor and I'm also a physical actor. So I like doing both. It's just with voiceover, I can play characters I would never be able to play live. So that's what I love about that, because I can just go wild with those voices and just go crazy.
Right. So you gave us a little bit of Joker. What else can you give us?
Oh God, I do well over 200 of them. So
give us
so many.
Give us something funny.
All right. Let's see. I have to. I can kind of go into this one if I have to. Hello, it's diarrhea. Or I can.
What's up, Doc? Ain't I a stinker?
I thought so, Bugs. Oh, that's really funny. Gorge. Or
that's awesome.
Also, like one of my favorites was Krang from Ninja Turtles. You know, like Shredder, you fool! You let those turtles escape. You
just made Tim's brother's day with that one.
Oh my gosh, yeah, my brother is a huge Ninja Turtles fan, so I can't wait for him to hear that one.
Yeah, I love it. It was like Roger Rabbit too. The whole play Teddy, you know, just because I do it with my cheek like Charles Fleischer did it, but most people do the lips. I'm like, no, he like blew air into his cheeks, and so I taught myself to do that as a kid. That's how I do the Donald Duck yell too. The little that whole thing that. It's just weird.
That's great, though. It's good to have good impressions on the show because Tim and I historically do bad impressions, but it's usually impressions of someone else doing the impressions of the person. So right. It's nice to have a good, authentic impressionist.
It's kind of like the Dana Carvey impersonations of people, you know, like the not gonna do it. 1,000 points of light converging, not diverging.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So in the theme of our show here, we always it's like a two-part question here. So one of the big things we like to talk about is we always have a beer pairing on the show to the movie that we feature. So if Art was to have an alcoholic drink, what would he be? Like, what would be a good pairing to Art the Clown or the Terrifier?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. A Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Smart answer.
Yeah, that would be, or a Bloody Tara, right?
Yeah, or a black and white.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So, and along the same lines of that, we love our horror merchandise. So, and I know there's some I see some great custom Art the Clown merchandise, and they have I guess Fright Rags has the shirts already.
Not Fright Rags. It's Terra Threads.
Sorry, Terra Threads.
Yeah.
Terra Threads.
Just
you know what? I buy
that.
from so many of these things, I lose track.
It's okay.
But,
it's okay. There's so many knockoffs now that people have been doing so much illegal merchandise, and we're like, we should send out lawsuits, but we're like, no, that would be too complicated. And it's like these people are so kind, and they're getting the word out about the film, and they're like, and they give me so much free stuff too, and I'm like, I can't be mean to you.
Yeah, you gotta cut them some slack every once in a while.
Yeah, because they're not making millions of dollars off of it, so they're only spraying the love about the film. So I'm like, yeah, cool.
So, is there something out there that hasn't been made yet that you'd love to see?
Oh,
I know
my
I personally
God, yes.
would love to see a NECA figure of Art the Clown.
Oh my gosh,
yes. That's been a childhood dream of mine to have my own action figure of some sort. So a NECA figure or a McFarlane figure, I would be like, whoa. Oh. That would make me happy.
They are bringing back the McFarlane Movie Monster line, Movie Maniacs line. So maybe Art the Clown could sneak in there.
Oh, I would love that. He comes in for the stealth attack. I would love that. I would love that. And I also want, because I know a lot of people have been screaming for it too, is the Funko Pop figure. I'm dying for one of those.
Yes.
Oh, man, yeah. I collect those, so that would be great.
Oh, I'm
yes.
I don't. They've got to get on that. That's something I know that we all want. Like Damien and I have talked about. He actually made some when we went to Mad Monster Party in Arizona. He made his own versions of art type of Funko Pop figures. He had 4 or 5 of them, and he sold those for $100 each in less than 30 minutes. It was just bam, they were gone.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you could just walk in full costume into the Funko headquarters one day and just stand there until they make one for you.
Yeah, it's make me.
All right, so final question, David,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure it's the one everybody's asking. Is there more Art the Clown in our future?
Oh, of course there is. Of course there is. I'm
Awesome.
there's no way I'm walking away from this character right now. It's Damien's in the process of writing the sequel as I speak, so he's almost finished, I think. So I think once he's finished with that, he's going to try to start shopping it to studios so we can actually have backers this time that can give us a lot more money and a bigger budget, because we have some crazy ideas for this sequel, and we definitely need a bigger budget for that. So I'm like, yeah, people like Blumhouse are out there listening and want to pick us up. I wouldn't complain.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and while they're still finalizing the script, of course, we'd have no problem if you found a role for Brian and Tim, your favorite podcasters in there.
Of course. You never know. Do a scene for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. You're just doing your own show, and I just come in and
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah,
listen,
I would love to be killed by Art the Clown. I think
Yeah,
that
are you
would be
kidding?
fantastic.
It's been so funny. I've gotten so many people like, I want to be killed by you. I'm like, are you okay? It's funny.
Oh my
It's
God.
so funny how that is. Oh, I love it. It makes me happy.
Well, because everyone loves Art the Clown, and I have to say, this is one of the greatest things I think. So, when this came out, I think it was embraced immediately by the horror community to just tremendous heights. But what I think is even more amazing is that you embraced it right back, because you're constantly you're kind of really sharing the character around. You're interacting with the fans. Great. I follow you. We follow you on social media, on and all the different platforms, and you're so good with the fans, and it's like that. It's so great to see, because the horror community is one of those really could be very pretty polarizing, but when they come together and love a character so much like that, it's great that Art the Clown has now been a part of it.
I love it. I mean, I'm a fanboy myself, so I know how excited I get just when Mark Hamill likes a tweet of mine or something like that. I'm like, ah! So I'm like, I try to interact as much as I can. I mean, it's now starting to get to the point where it's a little bit overwhelming, because I get a lot of messages and stuff like that. But I try to respond as much as I can. It's just, I'm just thrilled that all this is happening. So I'm just like, I just surpassed my wildest expectations. I'm just extremely grateful for just the opportunity.
So, David, before we go, is there anything you'd like to promote or tell us or whatever? It's you got the mic.
Well, I really am just doing a bunch of conventions coming up right now. I'm doing Days of the Dead in Chicago this month, in 2 weeks in Chicago. And I think I said Chicago twice. I don't know. I need more coffee. But I'm also doing WinterCon here in New York in the beginning of December.
I might have to. Maybe that's the one I can get to.
Yeah, it's here in Queens, so it's easy to get to.
Oh God, yeah, I'm on Long Island. I'm close.
Oh yeah, it's at the Queens Casino, so you should be fine. So
okay.
Yeah, woohoo! And I'm basically doing a convention a month all the way through July of next year so far. So I'm stoked doing that. And if other auditions come up or whatever, I'm totally yeah, sure. I'm still filming Nightwing Escalation as well, so there's that. So. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Cool. Well, hopefully Brian and I will get out to see you at one of these conventions here soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have not yet been to a convention together, so we got to rectify
that.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
We were trying to go to. We're thinking of going to what's the one in Jersey? The
Monster Mania.
Monster Mania. Yeah, we're gonna try and hopefully get to that one maybe. So.
Well, you never know. I'm like, if someone wants me, I'll be happy to come. It's just the only thing is sometimes they conflict with each other. I'm like, why are they putting these on the same weekends?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, David, it was such a treat having you on the show. Like I said, we're such huge fans. We really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us.
Oh, thank you.
Answer a few questions. I'm sure the listeners appreciate it as well.
Oh, I appreciate coming on here as well. And I appreciate the listeners just and all the fans too. Just supporting our film and getting the word out there about it. And that's the only reason this thing's been a success, is because the fans have just talked this up to their friends and everything like that. So it's you guys I'm more grateful towards.
Just to echo Tim, thank you so much. It's been such an honor to have you on, and feel free. You basically have an open invitation. Any kind of role that you have on that you want to promote, just say the word, and then we'll put you on, and you can talk away.
Sounds great. I appreciate it.
So that was an awesome interview, man. David's just such a personable guy, so friendly, so outgoing, and I really appreciate that he took the time to come on the show.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you follow him on social media, you kind of would like, you would see that kind of personality that he has, how he's so gracious to the fans. But you always wonder if it's going to be like that in person, and he is like that and more. He is just a super awesome guy. That was so much fun to do that interview. So yes, thank you again, David, for coming on.
All right, so my alphabet project continues, and we're all the way down to W.
Oh my
so
God.
We're getting there. I'm ready for the end of this challenge. I think because the October Horror Movie Challenge, I had to watch so many films that it's like, okay, I'm kind of over this challenge now. So, but I did pick a really good one for today. So this is W is for what have you done to Solange?
Wasn't that one of the isn't that Beyonce's sister or something?
I don't know, but this is kind of a giallo Italian film from 1972. The interesting thing about this one is that the actors actually recorded the dialogue in English, but their accents were so strong they overdubbed it anyway. So what you have are Italian actors mouthing English with an English overdub, so it kind of all matches up. So it kind of worked that way. So this was actually a really entertaining mystery. So the premise is there's a teacher. He's having an affair with one of his young students at a girls' school, and she witnesses another girl being murdered, and he can't let on that she saw this because then it would expose the affair, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, so it's almost like Hitchcockian in a way, a little bit. It reminds me of something like that.
So now you have these girls showing up murdered, and this guy's kind of embroiled. This teacher is kind of embroiled in all of it, and that's kind of like the first half of the movie. And then the second half of the movie kind of takes a turn, and now you're trying to find out what happened to Solange, because he finds out there was this girl Solange who disappeared, and maybe if he finds out what happened to Solange, he'll find out the killer of all these other girls or whatever. So it's a very intriguing mystery, and it has a very satisfying conclusion and everything. So I really recommend this one. What Have You Done to Solange, 1972. It's very entertaining, very twisty mystery horror movie that I really liked.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds really interesting. Like a plot that'll keep you engaged throughout.
Yeah, it was really entertaining.
Oh, cool.
Next up, Brian, you sent me this link, I believe, that Funko and Target are teaming up to do some like T-shirts in these cool retro VHS boxes. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so I give you one guess where I got that information from.
Of course, our man on the
Cone.
ground, Steve Cohn.
Yeah. So basically they're really like cool retro T-shirts. They're not like just of the movie too. They're original type of designs, but totally done in like that retro style. And they come in these cool retro VHS looking boxes, which are even better because that's just like way to target Tim and I. And so and it's got some great movies too. Not all horror, but it's got Gremlins, Beetlejuice, RoboCop, Back to the Future, Rocky, Bloodsport, which I thought was a weird one thrown in there.
Yeah.
Fast Time at Ridgemont High, and Animal House. So you got definitely a cool batch of 80s stuff in there.
I really want the
And,
Gremlins
late 70s, I guess. Yeah. But the Gremlins one I saw, I definitely want to get. I want to get the Gremlins and Back to the Future for sure.
Yeah, I think those were my two favorites by far.
Yeah, and supposedly they're available at Target. So, Target seems to stock those things pretty well. So I'm sure you'll have a good selection when you go there.
Yeah, Target's gotten this kind of weird, like geek, like they're skewing towards the geek market. I mean, especially like not just with like this, the NECA stuff, obviously, and these shirts and things, but they've also like with board games. Target.
Oh yeah.
Target has really upped their board games, and they're producing a lot of like Target exclusives and board games that you normally would not see out of a dedicated game store are showing up on Target shelves. So it's kind of interesting that they're kind of going after this like pop culture geek type market.
Yeah, and they have that section, and one of the Targets near me did this whole overhaul. And actually, a lot of them did on Long Island, but there was one big one that really did the whole store over. But some of the other ones just did this minor thing where right when you get there and you walk in that front thing to the right, there's this like trend section of like what's kind of hot out there, and they kind of have this all set up from clothing to like collectibles and stuff like that. So it's like I think when like the Fantastic Beasts thing was out there, they had that the sequel, I guess. Did that come out yet or whatever?
Yeah,
I think that. I think that was set up there where they had clothing and all kind of Harry Potter stuff. So it seems like, it keeps like it changes, I guess, kind of weekly. So that's kind of neat. So yeah, they must be really like looking at the demographics of what they're looking for. And I'm sure that the fact that Toys R Us is no longer really in its form. I guess that was a big selling point for them too, to kind of switch that over to selling that stuff.
And they've always kind of catered to the college crowd. I've noticed, like, I live in a college town, and like Target is, it's just filled with college kids, like getting stuff for their dorms. And,
right.
It just seems like they're going there instead of Walmart. So maybe that's part of it too. They're kind of skewing towards this younger demographic. I don't know, but
that could be.
In other news, we got Friday the 13th Vengeance, which is a fan film starring C.J. Graham. And this one sounded cool. Tell me about this one, Brian.
Yeah, so it starts C.J. Graham, of course, who played Jason in Jason Lives. And he's kind of got that distinction. He's like the last before Kane Hodder. Yeah. But I thought his portrayal was really good, though, anyway, because, Part 6 was one of my favorite ones. And supposedly this is a fan film that's completely funded already, so it already hit its Kickstarter goal. And it's a direct sequel to Jason Lives, where supposedly I want to say 20 or 30 years later, or something like that. It's some significant time since that. And Elias Voorhees, I guess, is still around in this world, and he comes in, and things start to happen, and then Tommy Jarvis' character is in it, and he goes missing, and his daughter comes to go look for him, and I guess they kind of hint that she has some knowledge that nobody's had before, and to set up the ultimate battle between Jarvis and Voorhees. So it sounds like a really, really cool premise, and I think it'll definitely be something we'll have to hunt down whenever it gets released.
Yeah, that sounds cool. And I still think, obviously we talked about last episode with that new Friday the 13th LeBron James version or whatever it's going to be. It's coming out. So I think you're going to see a lot of Friday the 13th type stuff out in the near future.
Yeah, people are craving for it.
Really
like the video game was huge. The NECA figures are flying off the shelves. People want it. It's just a matter of this rights issue is why we're not seeing an official movie yet. And I can tell you, I think the more they see the fan films pop out and the merchandise fly off the shelves, they're going to have to figure out something. Yeah. It's too much of a moneymaker to just sit there.
And speaking of the NECA figures, we've got two GameStop exclusive NECA figures, an 8-bit Jason and an 8-bit Freddy, which sound really cool.
Yeah, so the Jason is that it's been released already. It's that purple Jason with the box that plays the music. Yeah, you have that one. I missed it, so I'm kind of glad this is getting released again. They come out in March, and the Freddy is like the 8-bit Freddy from the old Nightmare on Elm Street Nintendo game too. So it's kind of like it's like a re-release of the Jason, but you're getting along the 8-bit Freddy, which was that those both games were kind of infamous in the back in the day on Nintendo. They were definitely not great representations of the movies. But it's kind of fun to have a figure for it. And the Freddy one, it's funny, he just looks really, really orange. Like that's like his whole
I remember
his thing. And then Jason is really purple.
Yeah, I don't think I ever played the Nightmare on Elm Street game. Obviously I saw videos of it on YouTube. I went back and looked at it, but I don't think I ever actually owned it or played it. Now Friday the 13th, I played the hell out of that game.
Oh my god, right? I played that forever. I think I kept playing it hoping it would get better somehow. But it never did.
It never did.
But yeah, no, and the it's funny, so it's like it's so funny. It's like back then, like the 8-bit, you could not get the color depth that you can now, obviously. So it was like they just went with a color. I don't know why Jason was purple though. No. I really don't ever understand.
Well, thank God he was, because he gave us so many awesome purple Jason things that we're seeing now. From the action figure to the cosplayers that do purple Jason and all that stuff. It's really cool.
And the fact that they put him in the Xbox game, which where you could play, even including them, and he does come with his old classic video game music. Yeah, I mean it's great. It's still fun.
So obviously, this month we are celebrating cannibals for Thanksgiving, because November is all about Thanksgiving. And to go along with that, Joe Bob Briggs is hosting a Dinners of Death marathon on Shudder Thanksgiving night. I can't wait. I enjoyed the Joe Bob Briggs marathon they did recently, and he promised they would not have interns spilling stuff into the Commodore 64 keyboards that run their servers. So they're promising no technical hiccups this time. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe because, a lot more people will watch it kind of on the delay or on a demand version of it, just because it is Thanksgiving night. People be doing things, going out to, probably waiting all night on Black Friday. But then again, then you could look at the other way. It's like you're online. Hey, maybe I'll just pop up Shudder on my phone and watch this thing live while I wait in front of Target all night. So it could just backfire completely and be more people on the servers. So,
I love
let's hope for the best.
I love that they took that and turned it into a positive.
Right.
The fact that their whole server system crashed, and all they said was, "Well, that's because Joe Bob Briggs is so popular. He broke the internet." I mean, they looked at it as like, you should be proud that you guys brought us down. That shows how passionate you are as horror fans. I just thought that was a brilliant marketing move or PR move to do that.
Yeah. No, Shudder knows how to do their stuff. They have their good exclusives. They have their originals, and then this was a perfect move to bring him back into the horror community.
Yeah. So finally, on our first shop, we have a Halloween 2018 Steelbook Best Buy exclusive landing on January 15th. I swear, it seems like these Blu-rays come out faster than the movie.
Yeah,
it's at least theaters.
It's still in theaters, and it's like, granted, it's not number one anymore, but still, it made it. It's well over $200 million, which is amazing for that film. But so, I mean, and then again, you figure, well, of course, now we got everybody in the theater. Now let's get everyone to buy it at home real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this kind of just snuck out. It's like someone, I guess I saw it tweeted because somehow it just ended up on the Best Buy site. I don't see it on any other site. Like, I think Amazon has its typical placeholders they do for everything, but they don't have any price or anything as far as I know. I mean, I haven't looked in the last couple of days, but...
Now, I know we're not big fans of Steelbooks, but this is one I might consider, actually.
Yeah, well, I go to Best Buy, and I get a lot of my movies I will get at Best Buy, because I like that excitement of going in on a Tuesday and going to get my shopping in Best Buy and getting stuff. So, I have a feeling that one I may get, as well, just because it's got cool artwork from what I saw. So
yeah, I mean, nothing you get is going to match the box set we already own anyway. So
right.
Like you might as well get something that like stands out to me.
Right, and at least this we don't have it already. It's not like a double dip.
Right,
it's a true brand new Steelbook purchase. I don't mind the new Steelbook purchases.
Right,
I rarely will double dip for a Steelbook.
Exactly, because you're just double dipping for a case, basically.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So let's get into our Discmemberment. These are the discs for November 13th, 2018. A short one this week, our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God. No, don't come on.
All right, so first up, and I think these have been on here before, but apparently they're releasing all of the Bates Motel seasons again. I don't know if these just got pushed or whatever, but if you want to see Bates Motel, bless your heart, you can see all the Bates Motel you'd ever want to see because they're releasing it in every combination known to man, every season, every whatever you can watch it. I think they released a set that had all the seasons, if I'm not mistaken, but you can also buy them separately if you want to.
This may be like one of those push for the Christmas holiday seasons where I know box sets are very popular gifts for horror fans. So
yeah,
and I'm sure it'll be on our list when we do our Christmas purchase show.
Yeah, for me it will, because I've said it before, that the show was phenomenal. It was just such a fantastic horror series. So yeah.
Well, last year I got the Psycho box set for Christmas, so
yeah, just keep the tradition.
Maybe I'll
going.
ask for this. Yeah, I'll just keep getting everything Norman Bates for Christmas.
Well, the first one up on our list is my pick of the week, and this is The Satanic Rites of Dracula from 1973. This is a great one. It's being released by Warner Archive. Directed by Alan Gibson, starring Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and Michael Coles. Now, I had a choice between synopsises to choose here. There was like 3 here. Obviously, I have to pick the most entertaining one. So that's what I did. So here we go. It's 1974, 2 years after the events in Dracula 1972. So we already know the guy can do math, so this is great.
Yeah. It's like, duh, it's 2 years.
I can't even stop. Strange things are happening. Some girls are disappearing from the street, and some of them are secretaries to important people. What? The police and the Secret Service become interested when rich people, including a lord,
A lord?
are pouring their empires into a foundation in which the boss hasn't been seen and a photograph of him doesn't produce a figure.
What? It didn't make sense, I don't think.
The
I'm reading it along with you and I still didn't catch what that meant.
The inspector from D-72 comes to see Van Helsing and Jessica, and their investigations lead them to believe that the boss is Dracula.
What's D-72?
I don't know. This summary just killed me. It was
from Dracula 72.
Oh, Dracula. Okay,
That's
there
what
we go.
D-70. So they're abbreviating now, and
yeah.
this whole myriad of sentences that don't make sense, they decide to abbreviate to make it easier.
Trust me, the other synopses were not as nearly as entertaining as this one, but
No, I'm
I
glad
just
you
love
picked
the
this one.
strange things are happening. Women are
Yeah.
becoming secretaries to important people.
Yeah, I know. It's like, is that the strange thing? Yeah.
This one, unfortunately, does not have many special features, which is usually a big motive for my pick of the week. It's just a brand new remaster. But I
Yeah.
really like this movie. I really love this one. Obviously, you can't go wrong with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Right, I was going to say. And yeah, even though they threw in Michael Cole's from the WWE, I mean, no.
Yeah, so.
Sure, it's a different Michael Cole. But
So next up is one I actually got to see this past weekend. And that is...
see, I never got to see it.
Yeah.
So that's why this one's my pick of the week.
Yeah, okay.
Just
This
because.
is The Meg from this year, released by Warner Brothers, directed by John Turteltaub, starring Jason Statham, Bing Bing Lee, who is fantastic in this, and Rainn Wilson, Dwight Schrute himself.
Oh.
So after escaping an attack by what he claims was a 70-foot shark, Jonas Taylor must confront his fears to save those trapped in a sunken submersible. So got a couple special features on this, couple featurettes. Chomp on This, The Making of the Meg, and Creating the Beast. Yeah, I was going to talk about this one in the first chop, but then I knew it was coming up in the Discmemberment, so I figured I'd just talk about it here. But I really enjoyed this one. It's so predictable. It's so by the numbers. It's exactly what you would think would happen in a Jason Statham giant shark movie. But it's still freaking entertaining. I don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, that is entertaining.
I know,
what you
it's
just
like-
said. Jason Statham and a shark. I mean, come on.
I know. It's like, I was telling Olivia while we were watching it, I said, this movie is so predictably dumb, and yet I have a smile on my face the whole time I'm watching it. Like, it's just a well-made, fun summer popcorn movie. That's exactly what it
Yeah,
is.
that's what it went to be, and
Yeah.
that's what. And if that delivers, I mean, not everything has to be like the most amazing piece of cinema. You could just go to a movie and enjoy it. Jeez, it's
Right.
and I will say one thing. I think John Turteltaub needs to direct one of the Ninja Turtle movies, so he could be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turteltaub. But that's just me. It's like,
You got to live up to your name, right?
yeah. I mean, come on.
Oh, next up is Bloodlust from 1977, released by Mondo Macabro. Mondo Macabro.
We need to have I think we need to get Paul. I know you're listening. You come up with a Mondo Macabro sound effect for us.
We just plug it in every time.
Yeah, so in the background, like the musical hit or something, it'll be going Mondo
Dun, dun, dun.
Macabro. Yeah, something. We need something for that.
Directed by Marij Don Vajda.
Oh yeah, good luck with
here we
these
go.
next
Here we
ones.
go. Here we go with the names. Werner Pochath, Ellen Umlauf, which I love that name. Ellen Umlauf.
That's the Star Wars character
Yeah.
right there.
And Brigitte Zamulo, who is also a bounty hunter.
Yeah, look at that. It's like the whole bounty hunter contingency for Mondo Macabro.
A deaf and dumb accountant suffers from a psychic trauma in his childhood. He is collecting puppets and mutilates female bodies in the mortuary. After his secret love died by an accident, he starts to kill. What is up with these people collecting puppets?
I know.
Did we have one of those recently?
We did. Oh, and by the way, I realized we did not read the synopsis for the Meg, but I think everyone knows what it is, so I think it's okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's a giant shark.
Giant shark, yeah. No special features either. Damn. Come on, Mondo Macabro.
Yeah.
For a name like that, you got to come up with some.
Yeah. Now,
things.
granted, the site I use, they may not list them.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
I do the best I can, but
No, you do a fine job.
yeah. So if you see no special features, they may have some on there that I just don't know about. So next up is a Herschel Gordon Lewis classic, The Wizard of Gore from 1970. This is an Arrow release starring Ray Sager, Judy Clur, and Wayne Rete. God.
Judy Clur.
Oh my gosh. I wonder how many people's names I've butchered. Like, I'm a serial killer of names.
You are. One day there's just going to be this massive lineup of people in front of Tim's house. Like, if these people are no longer with us, it's like their representatives and of their estate are coming to claim Tim. You know.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing I'm not like one of those people that reads graduation names as they're walking up on the stage.
Oh, can you imagine? God. You'd literally have 45 people backed up in cap and gown because they've not heard their names supposedly.
Oh well, I'll try. I do what I can.
Yeah.
A TV talk show hostess and her boyfriend investigate a shady magician. Aren't they all shady?
Yeah, they trick you. They're all shady. Sorry, Mike Collins, but seriously, they're all magicians have a little bit of shadiness. That's their gimmick.
So they investigate a shady magician whom has the ability to hypnotize and control the thoughts of people in order to stage gory on-stage illusions using his powers of mind bending. That's a neat premise.
I have to say, this is one of the shames of mine that I have not seen this one. I need to see this.
Yeah, I have not seen this either.
Maybe we'll have to make this a feature film one time for our show.
Yeah, I would like to see this one.
Yeah, you know, Horse and Gordon Lewis is such a classic in the genre. We need to get him represented again.
Yeah. All right, so next up, this is our final release, actually. We had a short week this week. House of Forbidden Secrets from 2013, released by Unearthed Films, directed by Todd Sheets, starring Lou Temple, Diane Thorne, and George Hardy.
I will say one thing, though. I don't know how good this movie is, but I'll tell you this director, he's the sheet. Sorry.
I may have to even cut that one out, Brian. That was so bad.
It was that bad. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'll just leave it in so you can feel the shame. You can feel the anger from the people listening just burrowing into
I will. I feel it already, and it hasn't even dropped yet.
All right, so get ready for this sad story, Brian.
Okay.
Jacob Hunt has had some very bad breaks in life. His wife left him, his friends have all abandoned him, and his children barely see him. Jacob has been given an amazing gift and the chance he needs to get back on his feet and start anew. Jacob has landed the job of overnight security officer at the old Shadowview Manor. It has now been turned into a commercial office and retail building. Jacob is about to learn nights around the old manor contain many secrets. A dark past that is breaking through the boundaries of time, leaking into this dimension. As luck would have it, Jacob's first night on the job is the anniversary of a dark tragedy that has stained the building.
Would someone pee on it?
Poor Jacob.
I know. He just doesn't have he just looks like he's just destined to never have another a good break.
How bad is your life that your amazing chance in life is to get an overnight security officer job at Shadowview Manor?
Yeah, right. And think about it. They actually used the words, he was given an amazing gift. like someone handed it, just walked up to him and said, by the way, I'm going to change your life. You're going to be an overnight security guard.
Oh my God. A Shadowview Manor. It sounds like something out of Scooby-Doo. So
it does, yeah. Or like some old PC game from the 80s, you know?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
In a purple box.
Yeah, there it is. All right, no theatrical releases this week because everybody's too busy watching Freddie Mercury and Bohemian Rhapsody. Yes. I want to go see that. I'm really excited to see that.
I do too. Yeah, that looks really good.
All right, but not horror. So
no.
Back on topic, we got a cool movie this week. Obviously, we're doing cannibal films, and this is one I had wanted to see for a long time and just never got around to seeing it for whatever reason.
Yeah, same here.
I don't know why.
And I've actually owned the DVD, the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I've owned it.
So this is The Green Inferno from 2013, of course directed by Eli Roth, starring Lorenza Izzo, Ariel Levy. Is it Levy? Levi?
It could be Levy.
Levy?
I knew a Levy that was spelled that way, and I also knew a Levy that was spelled that way, so I can't help you.
All right, sorry, Ariel, whatever your name is. Levy or Levy. And then Aaron Burns. A group of student activists travels to the Amazon to save the rainforest and soon discover that they are not alone and that no good deed goes unpunished. Now, this movie got very mixed reviews. It was very polarizing. Like, some people loved it. A lot of people hated it. And one common thing I had read in the reviews before I watched the movie was that the characters are very unlikable, but I did not find that at all. I was very surprised because I actually really bonded with these characters. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah. Like the main girl I loved and I thought she was great. And, you kind of I think that's probably the person that like the most people would are supposed to relate to. That like they that kind of like I kind of want to do something good, and she kind of almost gets like not tricked into it, but she kind of gets like baited into going on this trip. She kind of gets like called out, like oh, you really want to help, then you come with us. So she kind of like almost feels like she has no choice but to go on there. And it's like, so it's like, how many of us you've been in that situation, where you say I want to help out, and but you're only like, you're like, okay, what can I do? But then they task you with this, like, well, okay, we need you to donate $5,000 or something.
Right, yeah.
In this case, it's like, well, we need you to go on this trip, and oh, by the way, you could die. It is dangerous, but you said you're serious about it. It's like,
yeah. I mean, I think I can understand like people may not like the concept of the characters, because these characters are like these goody-goody college kids that are on a mission to save the world. They're gonna save the rainforest. Like, a lot of people don't like that kind of activism mentality, so I can understand why you could maybe be predisposed to not like these characters through that. But I never felt that way in this movie. Like, I was never annoyed by them. Like, I mean, I understood, okay, they're trying to save the rainforest and whatever, but it never like rubbed me the wrong way or anything. I was like, hey, whatever, they're college kids are doing their thing.
some of them looked a little old for college kids.
Well, yeah.
That one guy was like, it was beard.
Yeah, like it was like
bearded guy.
40.
He looked like he was like 45 years old. Yeah, so
which is bad because now, like, when I say people like look old, and then I realize that I'm telling they're the same age as I am.
Right, but we're not in. We're not. We're also not trying to pass off as a college.
That's
students,
true
too. It's like, it's like all the other characters pretty much look their age in there, but and like. I don't know. I kind of really saw some of the characters that I knew in there. Yeah, but I do know it. Yeah, I understand what you mean about that though, because how many times they're showing like they're protesting something, and I was like, oh, there's always the same group that are all protesting something,
Right. You kind of roll your eyes and
you're like, all right, what is it now? And like that kind of thing. But
so basically, this girl gets recruited into this group. Like Brian said, she's not really tricked into it, but she's kind of like, she bites off more than she can chew. Dun-dun-dun.
It's like almost like double dare. I double dare you to come on this thing.
But anyway, Brian totally passed over my cannibal.
I know, I got it. I just realized after I said it, I'm like, oh shoot, Tim told a funny thing there.
So
I missed it.
Anyway, so they get recruited to go. They're going to go protect this tribe in the Amazon or whatever. They're going to save the rainforest and prevent these construction crews that are tearing down all the trees and stuff. And they're going to do this by chaining themselves to the construction equipment and, resisting, and they're going to film it for the world and all this kind of stuff.
And they're going to make it go viral so people get all the support and,
Yeah. So, and their plan actually works.
It
to
does.
a point, but this is where you first get the first kind of sense that there's some real danger, because the lead girl, I gotta find out what her name is, so I stopped calling her just the lead girl, but she gets a gun held to her head by the
well, because they set her up. They you kind of find out that like throughout the thing there's little not sorry if it's a spoiler if you haven't seen it, but there's like little clues along the way that there may be some hidden agendas here,
right, yeah, and she's kind of a good patsy because she's kind of the newbie of the group. So but her life gets threatened, and she suddenly realizes the seriousness of what she's undertaken. And this is where I thought maybe this is where the movie takes off, but it's actually not. They basically get out of this situation, and you think, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. I thought this was where everything was going to start happening, but no. So now they get up in this plane, and this is where the real meat of the plot happens. I'm sorry, Brian. This cannibal movies are too easy.
But each one is more difficult to swallow. I don't know.
So unfortunately, these poor guys, their plane crashes, and now they're in the middle of the Amazon, miraculously having survived the plane crash.
Well, some.
One
guy got pretty impaled through a
true
through that tree trunk, I guess.
And as you might expect for a cannibal movie, they get happened upon by a tribe of cannibals, and this is where the rest of the movie kind of plays out. And I will say this movie makes no bones. God, I can't. It's just natural. It just flows out of me.
We should have put a disclaimer just for
Really?
the puns on this one.
This movie makes no bones about, like, this is just a simple plot line. This is an homage to the old Italian cannibal films.
Yeah.
So that you're not going to get this crazy deep plot here. This is basically people crash, they're in the jungle, Amazon cannibals grab them. So that's what you're going to get. And the movie never tries to be more than that, really.
But you know what? It's funny. That's like, there's this whole, like, it reminded me, that whole sequence of, like, reminded me of, the Jay Peterman episode when he was borrowing Kramer's stories on Seinfeld, when he was like, "It's the very pants I was returning," because it's like, this is the very tribe they were trying to protect. They get caught.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so now the great thing about this movie is they filmed it with an actual tribe. Not of cannibals, or not actually cannibals.
Yeah,
but
I would hope not,
no.
because that would be a very dangerous film.
This was an actual indigenous tribe that had literally never seen a movie before. So Eli Roth brought in a television and screened Cannibal Holocaust for them.
What, was he trying to inspire them?
I swear, that is in the trivia.
Yeah.
So they loved it, and they had a ball, and they all signed up to be on the film. Some of them were in the crew. And they acted amazing in this movie. So what you're seeing on screen for a large majority is actual indigenous native peoples.
Do you think one guy at least did the joke, like, "We're going to eat you when you're done filming this"?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Maybe not,
Yeah, I don't know. But that's one cool thing about the movie. But of course they're captured and led to the cannibal village, and this is where things really start to go downhill. Now, obviously, Eli Roth, responsible for Hostel series, his stuff is gory, and this is no exception. Now, Brian, you saw the unrated version. I only saw the R-rated version. I don't know what the differences are between them.
I mean, okay, this will be a spoiler, so anyone that has not seen it yet and wants to be completely surprised, I guess, like, fast forward a little bit, but, so the scene when they grab the nice guy in it, the friend of the main character, we're really great with our details here. With
the one with more meat on his bones, basically.
Yeah, basically a little nice chubby guy. Basically, he gets eaten right away, and the unrated version. I have an eyeball thing, so basically this high priestess comes up and just like freaking puts a spoon in the guy and eats out his eyeballs first.
Yeah, that was in the R-rated version as well.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was pretty graphic. And then they just, like, literally, people come over and they start cooking him and ripping him apart.
Hacking his limbs off one by one while he's still alive. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, but all his new friends get to watch.
Although I will say, one complaint with the movie is that was probably the worst kill of the whole movie, was the first kill. And then after that, they weren't.
Definitely the toughest to watch for me, though, with that eyeball.
Yeah, well, it was definitely the toughest to watch, but it was like it was like the biggest kill was like the first one, and then after that, they kind of dwindled off. So, they should have saved that one for the end. But yeah, that was pretty brutal. But that sets the stakes for the movie, and then the rest of the movie is basically them trying to somehow escape, but getting picked off one by one by these cannibals. So there's some cool death scenes. There's a guy that gets eaten by ants.
Yeah, why? I meant that's the one I didn't get. Why did they let the ants eat him if they're cannibals?
I don't know.
I didn't quite get that one, unless they just wanted to show off their ant effect that they. I'm not sure. It's like
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's funny. There were so many things where it's like, I'm glad. See, that what I love about Eli Roth is there's so many times in movies you'll sit there saying, well, why would they do that? Wouldn't that happen then? And he always answers the question right. So when they decided at one point, one of the characters basically finds out that her girlfriend was being fed to them. She freaks out and basically kills herself. So they decide, well, all right, well, she's dead. They're going to eat her next, obviously, because now she's not, she's already. So they decide they're going to try and distract them. So they shove this whole big wad of pot down her throat. And they're like, oh, this will be great. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Wouldn't that make them hungrier? You're going to give them the munchies. And sure enough, they first get all stoned a little bit, even though it's like you figure like that amount spread amongst like 500 cannibals there. I mean, would it affect them that much? But I guess maybe because they're not used to it. But But then, sure enough, like the two of them start getting the munchies, and they literally just start eating the guy raw.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Which is kind of funny. So I'm like, see, Eli Roth knows. He knows that they made a stupid decision, and he makes them pay for it. So it's great.
Yeah. So I mean, there's nothing here you probably haven't seen in a zombie movie in terms of people ripping and eating each other. But it's still, there's something about the whole cannibal thing with these tribes that is very creepy. And I know it comes with some controversy because anytime you have these type of movies, people think, well, you're kind of, I don't know, you're kind of like desecrating the idea of these tribes that are out in the jungle and stuff because, they're not really cannibals in the Amazon anymore or whatever. And, you're being harsh to the natives. But I thought the movie was way harsher to the Americans who think they know everything and are coming over here to save these people that really don't need saving. So, I don't know. I guess there's always that controversy when you're portraying native peoples or whatever or some kind of tribe. But I thought they did a pretty good job of making the point that the white man wasn't the person that had all the answers. You know what I mean? Right.
Well, I know. And, obviously, if you look at it like the way it is, they're like the villains in this. And really, they're just being themselves. They're not villains. Right. And, obviously, in the end, the main character, she gets it. Because, she, later on when she reports back to what happened, she basically says, oh, no, everyone died in a plane crash kind of thing.
Right, she kind of defends him. Or she does defend him.
Yeah, because she knows. She knows. It's like, listen, they bothered them. They, got in there. I mean, granted, yes, they crashed, but they shouldn't have been there in the first place. There was no, granted, they were trying to, I mean, yes, I know they were trying to protect something, but that's not the way, the way to like you said, like, that, they have all the answers. They're just going to step in and stop them. No, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it was, like her dad was part of the United Nations. You make the claim and you do it the right way. You don't try and think that you're going to go stop everything and protect the people that maybe don't need protecting.
Right.
They were holding their own pretty well. So
yeah. So I really enjoyed this one for some reason.
Yeah, no, I did too. I thought it was really good.
I don't know now. Later this month, we'll probably getting into some more of the classic cannibal films. So I don't know how those will hold up because I really haven't seen any of those either.
Yeah, me neither.
It's going to be interesting to see, contrast and compare. And maybe I just enjoyed this one so much because it was the first one I'd seen in a while. I don't know, but we'll have kind of a better frame of reference probably towards the end of this month when we've gone through some of the more classic ones. And maybe that's why some people didn't like this one because it was an homage. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, plus, when you watch this film and you finally digest it, you get you kind of get that there's a couple of messages in there, which is good. Which you figure, okay, it's a cannibal movie and it's a simple plot, but yes, there is those two messages of there. We don't always have the answers, and a group that is just being themselves cannot just be a villain because they're not what our lifestyle, what we're used to. It's like, so it's like because they're really just doing what they do, It's
right.
Like,
and they didn't ask for you to show up. They never asked for you to be there. You're in their home territory, so you get what you deserve, kind of thing.
Right. I will say one thing. In all these kind of movies where they're ever like either natives on an island or something like that, hut technology has never really advanced throughout the movie. You notice that they all look the same.
That's true.
They're not one different. They're always the same generic looking huts.
Yeah.
In every movie.
Oh, well.
But that's just a nitpick on me.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, I thought this one was fun. I really had not seen it for so long because I had heard such mixed reviews, and I was like, well, I won't bother because a lot of people are down on it, so I never bothered to watch it. But I'm kind of disappointed I haven't because I really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah, so one of the best things is I'm actually watching my Blu-rays now. I mean, it's not a true backlog project like Tim does, but it's good. I'm kind of picking these movies that now I can actually say, and I realize I'm like, okay, this was worth my purchase. Yeah. I enjoyed this movie. This will be a good one.
Yeah, there you go. So, Brian, what did you have for the beer pairing this week?
So it's funny. This one I did no research on because this immediately popped into my head because I know of this beer. And it just happened to fit perfectly, so I really didn't do much. It's Green Blaze IPA. from Long Trail Brewing Company in Bridgewater Corners, Vermont. So it's this is the best. This is like rivals some of your movie descriptions that we have in here. The way they say this. So it's 6.5%. It says blaze a hoppy trail. Guide yourself through the lupulin landscape of pine, resin, and tropical fruit hop notes in this trail-worthy American IPA. Green Blaze IPA features a big pine, tropical fruit, and resin hop notes with a light biscuity malt backbone.
Backbone.
And I even added,
that.
yeah, yeah, right. And I mean, I know we know it also. And they even went on to do this. They said pairs well with blue cheeses, sharp cheddar, Colby, grilled meats, barbecue, hamburgers, spicy dishes, tacos, blackened chicken, pickled vegetables, shellfish, and outdoor adventure. And apparently also the Green Inferno movie.
So,
but apparently every food.
And humans.
And humans, yes. So I figured I had to read all that. So this one's easy to find. So this will be a great one to pair up with your viewing of Eli Roth as the Green Inferno.
Yeah. Make sure you have like some like pulled pork while you're watching this movie, along with your beer.
Yeah.
You really get the theme going.
Is it wrong I ate lunch during this? I mean,
I did too.
I was hungry.
Although I was eating a chicken Caesar salad, I don't know if that quite replicates the human consumption experience, but
I ate tuna fish, so I don't know if that's.
That's fairly close. I mean, it's kind of mushy meat.
It was meat. Yeah, it was meat. But it wasn't that. Let me get this straight. I was not inspired by the film to though again eat. I just happened to be hungry because I watched it. I started watching it around lunchtime. So.
Oh man,
so,
yeah.
We're not that sicko on here, but yeah.
Yeah. So our 6 degrees of decapitation, which now sounds a little weird when I say that.
Yeah, right.
For watching this movie, but so we did not have one last week because that was of course our horror movie recap. But this week we're going.
Oh, wait, I guess did we ever give the? We gave the answer.
We did give the
right?
answer. Yeah, we gave the answer last week. So, but
Okay.
This week we're going to ask you to connect Sky Ferreira to. How do you pronounce this, Brian?
Ione.
Ione. Okay, Sky Ferreira to Ione Sky.
Yes, who's back in the fold? She's back for a big '80s actress. Now she's in that show Camping on HBO.
Oh, that's right. I wanted to watch that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty.
We got
funny.
pretty good reviews. So,
yeah.
So you can do this one in 2, believe it or not.
Yeah. So, and Sky Ferreira, by the way, she's the blonde friend in the beginning that I thought was going to be in the whole movie. That's really only in a sequence.
Yeah,
or 2.
So next week we don't really know what we're doing, but it will be cannibal themed.
Yes. So come hungry, I guess, or is that not? That's not proper term. I don't know.
Yeah, like shoot us a line on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Tell us what kind of cannibal movies you want us to watch.
Yeah,
because November is the month of feasting, so we have to have some good cannibal stuff to watch.
And yeah, I mean, I know you'll have your pretty much Thanksgiving Eve. Well, I guess actually Thanksgiving night, I should say. Planned, of course, with Joe Bob Briggs, but we're gonna try and get our commentary for Thanksgiving 3 out there, or maybe we'll have that for Thanksgiving Eve for you, so we don't interfere with Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah, exactly.
We can watch that just like last year. It'll be our tradition for 2 years straight because then we run out of Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess that'll wrap it up for this show. But yeah, so just another thank you to David Howard Thornton, who is just so awesome for coming on and spending some time with us and letting us interview him.
Yeah, that was quite a thrill because, like I said, that was just that performance really made that movie. It was just phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
So, a real treat to have him on. So, thank you again, David. And guys, we will see you back here next week.
Yes. So crunch, crunch.